We are live and ready when you are, Madam Chair.
Oh, all right. All right. We'll bring this meeting to order. Seldovia City Council, Monday, February 27th at 6:02. And I'll do roll call. Kennedy.
Here.
Swick.
Here.
Keithley.
Here.
Sweat.
Here.
Rojas here. Okay. And if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Heidi.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item C, excuse absences. We have our mayor and Councilmember Payton with excuse absences. And item D, agenda approval.
I move to approve today's agenda.
Okay,
Second that.
okay, we have the motion to approve by Keenly, second by Kennedy. All those in favor, Kennedy.
Aye.
Swick.
Aye.
Keithley.
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye.
Rojas, aye. All right. And then item E, we've got the consent agenda. The consent agenda, all items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and one vote. A council member may request to remove an item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Item 1 is approval of the minutes from February 13th, 2023, regular meetings on page 5. We have no ordinance introductions. We have no resolution. Item 4, we've got action memorandum 23-04 recommending the reappointment of Kurt Zink as a representative for Seldovia to the Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council. And that's on page 8. Okay. If any council member wants to take anything off of the consent agenda, or we will move to a motion to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Kennedy.
Aye. Did you hear me?
I did. Now I heard you. Wick,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
and Rojas, aye. Okay, consent agenda passes. Okay, item F. We have any mayoral proclamations? I don't think so. Item G, public presentation prior notice. Madam Clerk or City Manager, do we have anyone for that?
Not for prior notice.
Okay, and item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Public has 3 minutes each. Anyone in the public?
Yes, we have a Miss Laurel Hiltz.
Okay. Go ahead,
Hi.
Laura.
Sure, if you can hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Terrific. All right, well, I'll share tonight with a few different hats. Seldovia Village Tribe is partnering with the City of Seldovia and the Alaska Earthquake Center for a presentation this Thursday afternoon at 1:30 and a discussion about our updated tsunami maps and action plans going forward with that information. And also the following week on Wednesday evening, we'll have our next in our Ready, Set, Go series. And we're going to be hearing from Stephen Payton of Seldovia Village Tribe's Environmental Department as we take a look at climate action response as things continue to change with our climate. So really looking forward to that conversation and also people's input into what people recommend the tribe be looking at in regards to climate and climate change. So really hope that folks can come out. That's on Wednesday, the 8th, and dinner is provided. So that's a great opportunity to join that. You'll hopefully be seeing that Seldovia Village Tribe is picking up more activities in the community in regards to school-aged children, and actually children of all ages, but we're doing activities during early release times when the school closes early. We're doing extra activities on days when the school has conferences or teachers in services, and be looking for an announcement here shortly with lots of activities to take place over the spring break closure, which will include, as part of that, a couple days of basketball clinics and a fun night of basketball games that the community can come and enjoy. So those are a few of the things going on with Seldovia Village Tribe. At the chamber level, the chamber will be meeting on Thursday, and we continue to discuss just the challenges that lie ahead with the summer season, and also the opportunities with the chamber's selection of the Hooked on Chinook theme for the 4th of July. We've pushed out for button design, and people starting to share lots of ideas around that as we're planning and going forward. And I will be doing a call-in interview on this Wednesday with a new show, a radio show on KSRM, which is part of the Central Peninsula. Sarah Krapachetz Erickson and a gentleman named Ryan are starting off a new series called The Talk of the Kenai. And so I'll be interviewed just to discuss Seldovia and what all we've got going on here. So that's a nice thing for the community. And then on the school front, just Heidi will know even better than I, but the school district met with the community last week to get people's input on what we'd like to see in a new building administrator. Does sound like the position will be a 50-50 split, where it's, again, the administrator will be a classroom teacher as well as an administrator. And folks had been encouraged to submit their characteristic traits and priorities that they'd like to see in an administrator, and also questions for the interview process. It's possible that link is still open. And then at the end of the month of March, we'll have those interviews begin to take place via Zoom. So as many people can participate, you get to watch the interview and then afterwards provide feedback. So lots of good stuff happening. So that's just a little bit what's going on around Seldovia. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. Is there anyone else in the public?
I'm not seeing any more hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. Item I, that would be committee and advisory board reports. And we have a written report, but I'll let our city manager address that.
Thank you. I just wanted to let the council and public know that there was a written Prince William Sound RCAC board summary report provided in a laydown by Seldovia's representative Kirk Fink.
Okay, thank you. All right, item J, administrative reports. We have a financial report, written report as of February 21st, 2023. Is Jan online, or are you going to talk about that, Heidi?
I can. These are their monthly written reports. The quarterly reports that happen in person are every 3 months. So we just had one last month. But as for the finance report, it's just an overall update of where we are as of today. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them or take those back to Jan.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions about the financial report?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead, Bobby.
It's actually for Heidi. The Charles Schwab account, the value is 525 plus. So that's the 25 is the interest we've gotten on that so far. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. I'll double check with Jan. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do believe that is what that indicates. I know the last report, I think it was 514,000, and
Okay.
Jan says does see it fluctuate quite a bit.
Well, I understand that, but it's nice to see something. So that's good. Thanks.
Anyone else? Council? Have a question, comment? I have a question. If we could just reiterate for my brain here, the 2% sales tax that we have going for the payment for the grader, that additional 2%, when I'm looking over our spreadsheets here, it looks like there's still funds in there, surplus funds that have, from the payments that we've already made for this year. There's like $19,000. Is that really surplus amount? And if so, did we determine what can be used with that if it stays in the account for next year's payment? Or fill me in with that. I can't remember how we got that set up. I know we were going to get some lawyer. We were going to talk to the lawyer about how we could use that, if it could be used to put into major maintenance or not. Could you refresh my memory? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is a great question. We did receive a memorandum back from our attorney last week, and it'll be presented at the next city council meeting on March 13th. Pretty much the memorandum said that the language could be interpreted, the proposition language and ordinance language could be interpreted either way, that the payments needed to stay in the account until the grader was paid off. That's that language paid off that was convoluted. So the recommendation was that we review the minutes from when the conversation took place, and I apologize, I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I will prior to the discussion, and I'll bring those back to council to review, and then have a discussion with council and public about really what the intent of that language was. And that will be the determination that will be recorded in the minutes going future of how that any additional funds from the 2% are handled, whether they just go into public works for the public works budget for that year, or whether they are saved in an account until the end of the grader loan. But we will have a full discussion on that at the March 13th meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I look forward to that conversation. Anyone else have any questions or comments about the financial report? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to J2, Harbor Master Report, which is on page 17. Is there any questions or comments about that report from council? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to item K, public hearing, and that's K1, and that's ordinance 23-13, a NOD code ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, amending the fiscal year 2023 operating budget to provide for necessary mid-year adjustments by appropriating and transferring funds. And that was introduced on February 13th, 2023. And I'll have our city manager lead us on that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is on page 19. The ordinance begins on page 19, and then the operating budget follows up until page 55, with the changes being made highlighted in yellow. You'll see over the total expenditures listed on page 19 that some of those accounts actually go down just a little bit in estimated expense or anticipated expense. So wastewater is going to go down about $2,000. Dock is going to go down quite a bit more than that, about $12,000. Boat haul out goes down about $10,000. Harbor special revenue is going to go up about $3,000 or $4,000. Senior meals is going to go up a little bit, but we did receive more revenue for that. And that, I think that the budget for that was a little bit high for FY23, but we're waiting until the end of the fiscal year to see what the expenses end up actually being, so that we can reflect that for FY23 and then moving forward for FY24. However, there's a pretty significant shift for the general fund. And this is in large part due to the fact that the audit is going to cost, let me find the number here. If you go to page 55, there's a memo that breaks down what a lot of the adjustments, well, all the adjustments, it breaks down those adjustments and the justifications for why they happened. A big shift is the 2.5% COLA that was approved through ordinance 2306 by council and is an increase of $21,918.52. That adjustment went through, but additionally, it was realized that in the admin account under the general fund, there was an excess of funds for wages and salaries. So there was a little bit of a decrease there, and overall for salary, there's a decrease in the general fund from $548,673 to $536,101. The police fund did not include that increase because we do not have a police officer at this time, so we did not adjust for COLA. And the next one would be workman's compensation. There was an additional $10,303.39 in expense that wasn't accounted for the FY23 budget. So that was broken out across the funds for the entire budget. And not only that, but it was accounted for. If you look at on page 56, there is a line, insurance liability, and you'll see that originally the budget was $118,388. Well, that included workman's compensation, so it was kind of doubled up in the budget. Now it's separated out. Workman's compensation is its own. The $87,381 is the additional insurance cost for FY23. And these allocations were significantly shifted from the special revenue funds to the general fund per the AMLJIA recommendations, the way that they allocate and how they've been done historically. For FY23, they were shifted more into the revenue funds. And after a review of the accounts mid-year, we could really see that that was having a significant impact to those accounts, whereas the general fund has typically been their placeholder for good reason for that, for what they are being allocated for per AMLJIA, and also that we had our community assistance program funds that we receive every year from the state that we're trying to not count on, but we are still at this point. Funds were committed to the general fund to help cover costs for health insurance and public safety. So that those funds were sitting in the general fund, but the insurance was not. If you have any more questions on that, let me know. But above that, employee benefits also went up for the, and I apologize, there's a mistake. It says 2% COLA, but it's 2.5%. Below the insurance liability, the audit fees did go up $26,900. This is still leftover from our software changeover over the last couple of years and staff changeover. I've been in discussion with Finance Officer Yeager, and she feels that it's likely that next year we won't have this additional expense because we are finally getting to the end of those necessary changes that we've been working through, and that she'll be able to pick up a bigger piece of that ending audit, or the beginning audit process, the ending of our fiscal year when it comes to the audit. So sorry if that was confusing. I'm happy to answer more questions. Additionally, fire extinguishers had a little bit more of a cost this year that wasn't accounted for, and the land appraisal was split up between admin and council for the land appraisal that was done with KPBB in conjunction with KPB for possibly selling land that ended up not happening. And Harbor Jackaloff Uplands lease applications, $1,200, hazmat barge, $1,130. So just some smaller adjustments of things that were not accounted for because our budget is very tight. So when we have these kind of expenses, even if it's just $1,000, we just don't have wiggle room in it. So they're accounted for in there, along with some admin training and increase to archive social that we're going to realize for $149.50, an increase to QuickBooks payroll fees of $700, operating supplies for boardwalk repairs and tools and fluids, streetlights. For some reason, the budget had a lesser amount than previous years for power under Public Works, which is the account that our streetlights are allocated to. FY22 budgeted for $34,000 for those streetlights. So we bumped the account back up to $35,000 because it was really falling behind, and we could see that that expense was going to be closer to last year's expense for this year. The road grader financial payment was included in the budget. Our contract with Alaska Water Labs for testing and monitoring, which was approved by ordinance 2324. You did take the expense out of water because historically we've seen no legal in that account, and that helps balance some of the other adjustments made. As well as we had to increase the fund balance, ending fund balance transfer for water, due to the additional expenses that the water account is actualizing. That's going to be a big, hard one. Just an FYI, our harbor is looking pretty good after this review. Dock, I think, is looking decent as long as we are able to maintain Alaska Marine Highways system service. But our water and sewer, we're definitely going to have a big discussion on those, of water specifically. Otherwise, everything else is just expenses not captured or repairs needing accounted for, inspection, dam inspection that we'll have to account for every 3 years, that we'll just have to track each budget for what that year is coming up, because it is very, very tight. And I'm here for any questions.
Council, do you have any questions for our city manager?
I have
Go ahead, Jennifer.
a question. I'm looking at, general, what page am I on? 10? Oh, I'm on a different packet. General fund amended budget, where it shows the transfer out of general fund 2% sales tax, and then the transfer out of general fund to pay back for the kiosks. I don't know what page it is in your packet. I made these notes in last time's packet. I don't know if anyone can find that correct page. It's right after the ordinance, I guess.
Page 21.
Am I looking at the right thing? Am I
Yes. Yep.
in the right place to be coming? Okay.
Page 21, and there is a transfer for the 2% sales tax. That's that $19,060, and that may not end up being necessary depending on what the discussion happens at the March 13th meeting. But so if we don't want to have that inclusion in there, we can remove it for the time being. But it was placed in there as a placeholder to show that that was the additional amount of revenue received for that 2% sales tax. And then under that, the transfer of general fund payback for the Seldovia permanent fund for harbor kiosks. There was not an amount included because right now the general fund is sitting a little bit heavy with those insurance costs, but the revenue accounts, the sales tax revenue was increased a little bit to account for where we are today. And we estimated an additional $2,000 a month in sales tax through the end of the year, just because we know we see that average number for a little bit more than 2,000 average number for online sales tax. That does not account for any additional revenue that we'll receive for in-person sales tax. So we're conservative, but I'm hopeful that we'll actually bring in a bigger number of revenue than what is shown.
So this is listed in here. Are we doing this right now? If we approve this amendment that we're paying back that kiosk money?
No, there's not a number under the budget. It's just
Oh.
a folder to show that we need to account for that in the future.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, I'm like, it's not even adding up in the other
No.
side, which
Yeah.
are supposed to add up. Is this 104,942 minus the change in the difference of the 67.99? These numbers, is that supposed to add up to that 36? Because it doesn't.
Yes. So it is, you have the 67,999 is the difference between the revenues and the budget. And then the deficit is 104,942. So that minus the 6799, and then that 1906 is not accounted in that at that point, because that'll be the council discussion at the next meeting. So we could actually, yes.
The 36 is not definitive for this then.
The 36 is what is budgeted right now for the deficit, but that'll change depending on end of year adjustments and audit.
Okay, but that's what it's supposed to. I mean, it's close. It's off by like a couple $100. I was just confused at why that is. Are they supposed? Is that what we're supposed to be? Is that 104 minus the 67?
Yes, and let me
No.
do the math because I swear I did.
It's like a type thing. I mean, it's very close, but I was just confused at the other numbers in there where obviously it wouldn't be right.
Right.
So anyway, I added it up, it wasn't right.
Interesting. Okay, so let's adjust that because it should be. Thank you for catching that. I can't believe we didn't catch that with our. So that would be 36,943 minus the 1,000 for permanent fund that we do need to do, and then we take out the 19,000 and we'll wait on the discussion on that. So that ending number should be 35,943.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if I was missing something or if it somehow was, yeah, okay.
Nope, somehow it got shifted. So
Okay.
35,943 is the ending number.
Oh, now I lost my thing. I had other notes here. I gotta see where if I can track them down. What does that say?
So Heidi, that was just a addition issue, subtraction issue. That you just. Okay. And Jennifer, did you find notes?
Oh, someone else can go. I don't know what. I feel like it had to do with senior meals, but I'll find it and someone else can continue on.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions about the budget? And I think there is a lot of questions about this general fund 2% and what we're going to do with it. But I'm so glad to see that we're going to have it on our March 13th and discuss it then. But is there anything else that's anyone of council has a question about for our city manager?
I don't have anything.
Not hearing anything. Okay. Well, Jen, if you found your paperwork, looks like you're up. Unless, Bobby, are you reaching to speak? I can't tell.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's a very well laid out information that we have for this amendment that we're doing to our budget. And I appreciate all the work that's been done on it. Jennifer, I hate to put the pressure on you, but did you find your notes?
No, I mean, it's there, but I don't know what it's referring to. Calendar, I wrote fiscal calendar discrepancy. But I can't see what I'm referring to.
If you find it later, you can get it to me and we can present it again with the budget for FY20.
Yeah, and it might be something that I could just ask Jan to. Yeah, I don't think it was really that important.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Anyone else for council to discuss item K1? Otherwise, we will go to the public. Okay, we'll go to the public if anybody has a comment about ordinance 23-13.
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay, then we'll bring it back to council and for action. For ordinance
Make a mo-
23.
I make a motion to accept ordinance 23-13.
Okay,
I second.
okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor? Mr. Kennedy, Councilmember Kennedy,
Aye.
Zwick,
Hi.
Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Motion pass. Thank you very much. Going on to item L, unfinished business. We have none. Item M, new business. M1 is resolution 23-33, resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, awarding the professional services contract for promotion and education materials for Seldovia Chinook smolt through RFP number 01-0/2023 to Martin Media in an amount not to exceed $18,000 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. And I'll turn that over to the city manager. And that's on page 60.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So we had two proposals for our RFP for the Seldovia Chinook smolt education materials, promotion and education materials, one from Martin Media and one from All Nations Community Health. Martin Media came highly recommended from KPED, and on their application, they had reference work from the city of Soldotna and the city of Kenai, the Kenai Peninsula Borough, and KPED. We were able to review both proposals, and Martin Media met the evaluation criteria, or was the most eligible entity that met the evaluation criteria. And so we bring this resolution to council's consideration to enter into contract with Martin Media. We know it's a tight time frame, and he knows it's a tight time frame. He is familiar with Seldovia and has been here. And once this is approved, if approved, I'll begin discussion with him on how we can start getting some things, hopefully a little bit quicker than mid-June, because the grant does end the June 30th, 2023 deadline. And we asked the state for an extension, and it doesn't sound like that is possible. I will talk to them again, just if we can show that maybe we are in the process and this work is happening. Maybe they'll work with us a little bit, but for now we have this great proposal, and they seem to have a good grasp of the things that we're asking, and I ask for council's consideration.
Thank you. Okay, council, if you have any questions or comments about resolution 23-33,
Madam Chair, if I might.
you bet.
Excuse me. I looked through their proposal. I really enjoyed it, enjoyed looking at some of their work that they did. One of the only questions that I had, because it wasn't clear, because we had the kind of our budget, and obviously as any business would, they did their best to go right up to give us the most they could for that budget. Is that something that gets, basically they're giving that to us and that's kind of like an estimate that wouldn't get adjusted. The only reason I ask is as I was going through the things that are out of their control for like the travel did not seem like they were going to be appropriate for the travel they need to be doing over here, unless maybe they're not going to be having to pay for lodging for all of those periods and such. So I just wanted to make sure that that was maybe a conversation with them so that they're not, thinking that what they're going to offer us, that is the price for that. And then they're stuck as a business owner feeling like they have to pay above and beyond, or that they understand that. And maybe that was what was left over. And so then they just wanted to make sure that they maxed out and then assume they'll pay the rest. I'm not sure. So that was the only thing that popped out to me that I wanted to make sure was clear by both parties.
Thank you, through Madam Chair, if I may.
You bet. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Keithley, for catching that. That is something that Jan and myself also caught and will be part of the discussion when we negotiate the contract, just to make sure that they do have a realistic idea of what it is to travel here. I do know, and from discussion with him, that he is familiar with the area, and I have some understanding that potentially they have friends and are, may have places to stay, but I will double check on that because you're right. It is maxed out at the budget, and it even states that they are giving us a little bit of a discount because they believe in the project, but the travel is low.
Thank you. Anyone else in council comments? I have a comment. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Who is
just
that?
have a quick question. So
Yeah.
all this material that they're going to be producing, where all is it going to be distributed? Or to what agencies or us or whatever, where is it going to be distributed to?
So that's a great question. They're mainly working on the design. There'll be a couple different advertisement sizes, hopefully one for like the Alaska Milepost, the Homer Chamber of Commerce, puts out a magazine every year, potentially with the Seldovia Chamber of Commerce. And we'll look at different other advertising opportunities, but that'll be done in-house once we have the material, the logo, and the layouts available. And then we're hoping for a brochure that we can distribute anywhere and everywhere that we want to distribute a brochure, as well as 6 educational signs that we'll post through places in town that have availability for posting. And then with this material, we'll be able to post on social media. We'll be able to post on our website, and it'll be a quick items that we can grab for future advertisements and utilize for years to come, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I see that we've got in March, speak with the city council regarding project and vision. So are they planning on coming or zooming into our meeting, and there would be public input at that time, concerns or comments about the project? Would that be correct?
Correct. And I want to speak with him about the timeline because I didn't account for, when we were doing the budget schedule, that the second meeting in March is actually a holiday. So we do not have a second meeting in March scheduled, only the one at the beginning of March. If they want to present there, we can put them on the agenda. Otherwise, maybe during a work session that we hold later on in the month, because I'm sure we'll have a few, or at the beginning of April.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there any more council comment? Okay, then if not, we'll go to the public. Is there anybody in the public who would like to discuss this item?
Not seeing any hands raised at this time, Madam Chair.
And I'll bring it back to council for action on resolution 23-33.
I move to move resolution 23-23.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, may I ask for clarification on that motion? Was that to approve resolution? Thank you.
Did we get the motion correct?
Move to approve resolution 2333.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, Kennedy,
Aye.
Wick,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Motion pass. Thank you. Going on to M2, Resolution 23-34, resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the city manager to apply to the State of Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation for the micro loan through the state revolving fund for the Seldovia Slough Sewer Improvements Project. And I'll turn that over to our city manager.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, so much. So I don't want to scare everybody. This is an application to put the city on the list of priorities in case we need to pursue the loan. This is not us taking the loan out. It's a placeholder to let the state revolving fund know that we may pursuing these funds, and so that they can check our best practice score, which we know at this point in time we do not qualify. However, March best practice scores should be coming out next month for the spring, and we are supposed to be looking a lot better. So we'll be looking forward to seeing those. The amount of the potential loan would not exceed $495,000. And according to the loan program, there are subsidies up to 90%, depending on the hardship and the need of the community. But as I said, this is not us actually taking a loan out. It's just putting our name in the hat for the loan in case we end up needing it. We are still going to pursue other funding opportunities, including a grant application with the Denali Commission that we are working on right now, in conjunction with CRW, who we went into contract with last year for grant, sewer and water grant writing opportunities. So they're helping us to get that proposal or application for that grant buttoned up. And the loan or the grant, well, the reason why the city is having to go down this road, and we've been in discussion with both VSW, the Denali Commission, CRW. There are a lot of individuals that know that this project is coming hopefully this summer. This construction project will be approved for the Seldovia Slough Sewer Improvements Project. And this is phase one, the replacement of service connections, manholes, and et cetera. There are 23 service connections that VSW has identified needing replacement in the slough. And out of those 23, 11 are not eligible for VSW funding. They did redo a cost estimate for the project itself, and then that portion of the project that is ineligible, and that is that $495,000. If council approves this application, then, approves the authorization, we will turn around real quickly and put the application in first thing tomorrow morning, as the first quarter review submission deadline is February 28th. And then it just sits in the queue for up to a year and is available in case we need to pursue those fundings going forward.
Thank you. And I appreciate, because I looked at it and I was sweating bullets myself about, but what we're doing right now is putting ourselves in queue in case we need this, and we have, and it could be, if we actually fit the bill, fit the criteria, it could sit for a year while we're trying to determine if we can get money to support what we're trying to do, or this loan is a possibility. So it's just putting us in queue for the potential possibility of using it. Otherwise, we've got a lot of discussion about where we're trying to come up with money to finance this, but thank you for that clarification. Anyone from council? Comments to our city manager or questions?
I have one question, Madam Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, our best practice score, we're diligently working on that to get a better score, correct?
Yes, correct.
yeah.
And part of the budget that we just went through today and the budget amendment that was made in November is to make sure that our budget is balanced. And it is at this point in time for water and sewer. And I should clarify, Madam Chair, since you brought it up, that I did speak with legal and I spoke with VSW, and the funding for this project, if we are not able to receive a grant and we do end up having to go through the loan process, goes back on to the utility. And that is why it's not a question to the voter for debt, because it's a revenue, the utilities are revenue accounts. And so that would be a lot bigger discussion to have in the future. But potentially that gap in funding would be put back on both the water or the sewer, however we wanted to reflect that in the budget for many years to come. But hopefully that is not the route that we have to take at this point in time. It's really important that we do try to seek funds for this project because it's a very small portion of a much larger project. And not only that is it's half of 2 projects. So we're doing everything in our power. And this is worst case, last case scenario. We definitely don't want to put that burden back on the community and on our water and sewer utility, but there is the potential that it's there.
Thank you. Anyone else? I mean, the bottom line is we know we have in the future, we need to do this. We know that we've had been doing it for quite some time. So it's great that we have assistance and help to get us there, and hopefully we'll be able to support it, finance it with outside monies. Anyone else from the council have any questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll go to the public.
I just wanted to say thank you for clarifying on that, Heidi. I too was like, oh, but I think very smart. I mean, it can scare a lot of people, especially those that really want to avoid being in debt, but it's a safety net because it's something that we have to do no matter what. This is part of the plan, part of what's got to happen. And so it will help so that we don't have to delay anything and can hopefully just have that safety net and not have to use it. So I am glad to see that. I like having safety nets, and then we have time to work through when if we have to use them. Hopefully not.
Thank you. Okay, if there's not anyone else for council comments, is that you, John, moving forward?
Yeah, it's me. I just got one question. The score, what did we expect that to be? Do we have an expected number for next month?
I'm not off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I meant to prepare that for tonight's
Wasn't it?
meeting.
I thought we talked about it.
The score itself is actually high enough for the state revolving fund program. It's the budget piece that wasn't high
Oh,
enough. So that
Okay.
that will increase, and then it's supposed to domino effect as long as we keep on the same path that we're on every quarter, it'll keep increasing. And if I can, one more thing, Madam Chair.
You bet.
I did touch on the fact that VSW, or not VSW, sorry, the state revolving fund program and Denali Commission are both aware of this project. And that's the other part of us putting this application in, and the application to Denali Commission was that there was a thought that if one program couldn't cover it all, that the other one might, and that they will both be looking at it and working together. So.
Excellent, excellent. Jennifer, did you have a comment?
Yeah. Can you, so you said that this isn't actually us applying for it. You said it sits in a queue for a year. So or do they evaluate it at this point in time? Or do they not even look at it until we give the go ahead and say we didn't get this other funding? Can you now look at our application?
Great question, Madam Chair, through the chair. They will evaluate it, is my understanding. And what will happen is they'll say, nope, they don't qualify right now. But when it comes time to the fact that we may qualify or we do qualify, then they are really well aware, as I keep hearing over and over again from quite a few of the entities wrapped up in this process. They are really well aware of Seldovia as a situation, and they are watching and waiting to be able to help us with funding opportunities. So my understanding is it goes in the queue, and then they just keep an eye on it until it's either needed or not, they'll just keep watching it. And then when it comes time, if we do need it, that'll come back to council for approval. This is just to get us in the queue and apply. Before we had any steps forward of accepting a loan, it would come back to council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's not anyone else from council, then we'll go to the public. Is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak to resolution 23-34?
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go back to council. What are your wishes, council, on resolution 23-34?
Make a motion to accept resolution 23-34.
Okay, and a second, do I have?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor, Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick,
Aye.
Keithley.
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, item N, city manager's report, see the laydown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is on page 6 of the laydown. It begins. I'll try to keep it brief. I know that it was talked about before the meeting began, but just want to throw out there that the weather forecast is calling for quite a bit of snow over the next 2 days. Just a reminder to council, and we'll put a reminder out to the public if needed, that the city is short-staffed at this time. Operator Cameron is away on personal leave. We have Operator Brunn and Operator Gruber at the helm, and then Operator Hall has also offered to step in as needed, but things might just take a little bit longer depending on how much snow we have and crew availability. I feel very confident that they will get it handled and do a great job, but hopefully there's a little bit of patience if needed. We're also short-staffed, just as a reminder, with water and harbor because of Operator Cameron's absence. Our harbor master is handling water up at the water treatment plant for approximately 2 hours a day. With that just means there might be a delay on snow removal. I know we have Radzi over here sitting by me, who is very great at helping out and making sure that happens. But it's just great to let everybody know that there's potential delays in snow removal. We'll try to keep them as minimal as possible. As well as I really appreciate everybody's patience with the administrative office the last couple of weeks, knowing that we are down a person and we have filled the city clerk position, but we don't have them in office yet. So as we work through some of these applications and grants and bigger projects, I know it's been a little bit trying to communicate with staff, and I apologize for that. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better moving forward in the future. On that note, the FY22 audit is going really well. I've heard great things from Finance Officer Yeager. She really likes their software program with LG and Rayfield. It's been seems like pretty smooth so far, and we have the last of our reporting submitted to Carmen Jackson. Once their work is complete, then LG Rayfield will be able to complete their work, and hopefully we'll have an audit to present to council in the next month or two. New employees. Oh, I didn't change the title to that, but we want to welcome aboard Liz Diamant as the new city clerk. She'll begin work with the city on March 13th, 2023, next council day. So that'll be fun for her. Um, we won't expect her to fill, to do the full duties of the city clerk, but maybe she can help with minutes. We'll see how that goes. And vacant positions, we still have chief of police, senior meals, refuse ×2, custodian, and public works seasonal temporary. That last one we left up there because Will Brune did come on as a temporary fill-in, not necessarily as the seasonal position, but the seasonal position does expire at the end of April, beginning of April. I'll have to double check. So we'll just keep an eye on that and, see how it works with our fill-in at this moment, and what the summer looks like. Big shout out and thank you to Wade Hall and Melody Hall, who continue to provide refuse and limited custodian service for the city until those positions are filled. And just, thank them when you see them go by, because they are both wanting to let go of these positions, from my understanding, but they're doing it because we don't have anybody else. So we're really thankful for that. AMHS summer schedule update. I had a chance to listen on the Alaska Marine Highway Board of Operations meeting that happened Friday. I was given the heads up that they were going to be discussing potential summer schedule changes, and that may impact Seldovia. And listening in, it will impact Seldovia. The board and DOT are facing really difficult operational decisions right now due to a lack of crew and a lack of certified crew. They need their crew that operate these open ocean vessels need such a high level of certification that they do not have enough employees to cover all the positions. So it was a really tough discussion about whether they would operate the Columbia or the Kennecott, knowing that either way, some communities would receive less service or no service. And the decision was to put Kennecott in warm layup until she has a crew to operate. So she will not be on the schedule or operating, at least for the beginning of the summer. And they will operate the Columbia. That will be a little bit of an impact to Seldovia, but we will still receive service from the Tustamina, as well as the Chain, and Kodiak will still receive that service. It looked like it was going to be 50 services instead of 71 with those changes. But we'll know more as they finish their summer schedule adjustments. Harbor parking update. The owners of the vehicles that have been parked at the harbor all winter have been in Seldovia and are in the process of moving vehicles. There's one left in the parking lot, one that has moved but is still in the parking lot, and one that has left completely. The harbor master remains in contact with vehicle owners through the process, and they seem to be working diligently to try to get them all moved. Cole's vending update. I know at the last meeting, this was a discussion about tenant responsibility for snow and garbage removal being included in the lease. It was, and it was signed off by Mr. Cole and myself. He also discussed that the business would be open all night and year round and would house multiple vending machines, including possibly a cold vending machine with sandwich options in the summer. So stay tuned. We'll have to see how that works out. CDBG CV closeout for MPB renovations. As you can see, we have a few windows placed in this room. The Seldovia space was finished off. More windows arrived on a landing craft today. So they should be finishing up that project here in the next week or two. I do want to make a comment that there was an issue with an apple tree in front of the library growing into the gutter and the window. That was asked to be removed in order for the library window installation. The tree had known, staff had known for a while because we've had to see snake the sewer in the downstairs bathrooms a few times, and it was known that there are roots from the trees beside the building growing into the sewer system that have caused problems and backups in the past. And with the need to remove the tree, we notified the individual responsible for planting the tree in the first place, that it could possibly be cut down. And the individual was very understanding that the tree had served its purpose. It had kind of grown past its useful life and was causing some issues for the city. And so I want to make sure that we think through a process in the summer to honor that individual and the tree for the purpose that it served. But as of now, it's been removed. The windows have been installed, and I even saw a nice Facebook post that the library has a lot more light. Draft FY24 budget. We were supposed to have a work session today, but that was postponed due to the heavy lift of the RAISE grant and the state revolving fund application, both due tomorrow. Additionally, there was an agreement at the last council meeting that we would have a Seldovia Public Safety Considerations work session. And we want to tentatively schedule that for Monday, March 6, 2023. APIA, who is operating the VPSO program in Seldovia, has agreed to be in attendance, and staff will make sure to provide additional data. We hope to announce that date later on this week. And I wanted to make a comment that there would be no regular meeting at the end of March, like we discussed, due to the holiday, but instead we're going to look forward to a couple of different budget sessions to make up for not having tonight's and, potential work that needs to happen. The Seldovia wastewater treatment project. I received a review from VSW today for their 65% draft. And in that review, they provided feedback that alternative 1 would not meet the requirements of the program. I haven't had a chance to follow up and look at what that's going to look like, but I intend to do so, and will let you know as I hear more. ARWA visit. Kevin Schoeneman has been in Seldovia helping Layla out while Jordan's been away. Layla's been doing a fabulous job up at the water treatment plant, keeping on top of that. Kevin did leave today, but he was able to help out. He was working on a few projects with Seldovia and had his listening equipment out and was going around town listening for new leaks. So it's always a pleasure having him here to assist Seldovia. Seldovia boatyard impoundment procedures. We are in the process, and there is a notice in the packet for impounding the Geskimo, as well as updating the vessel impoundment ordinances and procedures. It is anticipated that an ordinance updating code will be introduced at the first meeting in April. We are doing this with Holly Wells, who is an attorney for, can't remember the name of her attorney group. But she has been working with Layla for a few years on harbor ordinance. Layla she won at a conference some attorney legal fees. And so through that, she's been working with Holly Wells to update the impoundment procedures. And then simultaneously, we've been working on the Geskimo. Updated tsunami hazard map of Seldovia community response planning meeting will be March 2nd at 1:30 p.m. as Laurel said, and that is also enclosed, the advertisement on page 10. So if there's any council members available, I think it'll be a great informative meeting on the updated tsunami hazard map, and look forward to seeing everybody there. A couple of quick continued projects. RAISE grants on track to be submitted tomorrow. State revolving fund will go tomorrow. The deadline for federal appropriations requests is March 10th. We've been in contact with Senator Murkowski's office, and we'll be submitting requests based on the city's capital improvement plan. We are waiting to hear the announcement for the AARP Community Challenge Lake Susan Access Project. That'll be mid-May, and we're still waiting on the dam maintenance and operations manual that has been submitted to the state via RADSI. That's all I have.
Wow, that was a mouthful. Council, do you have any questions for our city manager or comments? I have a question. Could you fill me in on the multi-purpose building? Is the roof done on? And I've had a couple of people ask me, and I said, I'm not sure. Is all the roof work done?
Yes, the roof work is done. I spoke with Vernon on it, and my understanding is that it is, because there are shingles, they are going to take the heat. They're going to need the heat to warm up and finished their final process of sealing and adhering to the building. So we should see that take place as soon as snow melts and the weather warms up and we move through the summer. And there is a 1-year warranty on that project. So should we find that there is something that is just not working out, we will go back to the contractor and get a hold of them. But it's still doing its process. It's just waiting for heat.
Okay, yeah, and that was my other question. Is it just 1 year for all the work that was been done on that building from the company? Just 1 year warranty? Or,
I'll double check for all the work. I know it is for the roof, but I'll double check on the rest of the project.
okay. Yeah, and I was happy to see those vehicles pulled out of the snow. I mean, those people have a lot of work getting their vehicles pulled out. Would have been, I'm sure they were thinking it would have been much better to do it in the fall. But yeah, there is still that one van there, but I'm glad to see that people move forward with taking care of their work, their cars there. That's it. Anyone from council have comments or questions for our city manager about her report? Nope. Okay. All right. All right, so we've got item O, informational items not requiring action, we have none. Executive session, we have none. Council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. And that would be Mr. Kennedy.
Just have one, the VPSO, if we were to apply for a second one, isn't there a deadline coming up like the end of June? that we have to apply before it could be put in their budget? Are you familiar with that?
I am. I spoke with
Okay.
Michael with APIA and he did say that he would attend a meeting and answer any questions that come up. And that they are still willing to apply for a second position for this upcoming fiscal year. But that budget, that grant that they're writing for this upcoming budget is gonna start being written here very soon. So it would have to be done sooner than later.
Yeah, that's what I understood too. Just wanted to make sure that we didn't forget it. Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Swick.
No comment.
Okay. Councilmember Keithley.
No comment this evening.
Councilmember Sweat.
Yeah, Heidi, you're doing a fantastic job on putting all this information together for sure. And working hard on all the financial stuff. Just a clarification, we are going to try for that workshop this coming Monday? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple of comments. I agree. Heidi, city manager, you're doing a fantastic job. I appreciate everything you're doing. I just wanted to update everyone that the Seldovia Advisory Board that's local here to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, they had a meeting talking about changing or putting in a proposal, changing the snagging issue back to what it was prior to this change in regulations. I'll be bringing some information to the council on March 13th. And then there'll be another meeting where the proposal will be put together on March 28th, and anybody can attend the Seldovia Advisory Committee's meetings. But I'll bring some information forward. So there were some questions that came up about council's position, and I'll bring that information forward on March 13th meeting. But and also everybody enjoy the Northern Lights if you see them again tonight. That's all I have. Okay. Next meeting, we have regular meeting 4. Our regular meeting will be March 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And item S, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And a second.
I'll second that.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Short meeting. Motion is passed and we are adjourned. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You bet. Night, night.